Hi guys, welcome to another BindTuning webinar. For the topic, we have our series, The Art of Designing with Bootstrap. I hope everyone is hearing us. If not, use the comment section or use the BindTuning webinars hashtag. For this series, we have the Carousel, and we have here Beatriz Oliveira, BindTuning CEO and Founder.
Hi guys.
For the agenda, as you know, these are free sessions, ongoing and always updated. It will be recorded and available online at bindtuning.com/webinars. For the agenda, we have first, Bootstrap Components. Second, creating your file. Next, adding the default carousel. And next, 7 awesome carousel examples. So now Beatriz will pick it up now.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon or good morning or good evening. I'll be your host today, talking a little bit about the art of designing with Bootstrap. And the first topic that I chose for this series has to do with how we can make a different usage of the carousel component. Before I begin, I would like to give you a quick overview about the Bootstrap components that are available, so that you can see that there are a lot of pieces that you can use and that you can actually combine. And that is also related to what I'll be showing today, because I won't be focusing exclusively on the carousel component. I will be also trying to show you ways to combine different components to create enhanced views and enhanced interfaces. Okay, and starting with the Bootstrap components, let's quickly go to the Bootstrap website. And when starting a new project, and if you are using Bootstrap in your project, either it is a plain HTML website or if you are using any CMS platform, if you are using Bootstrap, it's good that you know that you have a lot of components and pieces that you can take advantage from to create your interfaces. Typically, these pieces are described along the Bootstrap website, and I'll quickly take you to the components section. As you can see, you have icons, you have elements like drop-down menus, and everything is available on this navigation on the right. So from buttons to inputs, navigations, breadcrumbs, to interesting things like labels, badges, large title sections, thumbnails that you can use for images, alerts for messages, progress bars, and a lot more. So a lot of components are available. And not only here on the components area, but also if you take a look at the JavaScript area, you will see that there are a lot of features that you can take advantage from. For example, model pop-up windows. You can see that you have scripting to create drop-downs. You have, for example, the cool tooltips on mouse over. So there is a lot of things that can be used and combined to create awesome interfaces. Note that if you are using a BindTuning theme, all these are included. So note that all our themes make full usage of every single component that is included with Bootstrap. So let's start coding. And today, what I'll be showing is driving you through how you can actually go starting from literally from scratch if necessary until you create different options using the Bootstrap carousel. And to create your file, and this is only necessary if you are doing this from scratch, okay? Because if you are using a template or a BindTuning theme, you don't have to worry about this section. But if you are doing it from scratch, I'll take you through these very quick steps. And the first thing is grabbing the basic HTML. For this, I have a folder Inside it, I have an images folder that I'll be using for the carousel, and I have an initial HTML file. I'm going to open it and show you that right now it's completely empty. And let's see if it opens. Okay, well, let's try opening it again. All right, so the HTML file right now is completely empty. There is nothing on it, so I want to show you how to do it literally from scratch. And the first thing that we want to do is grab the initial HTML structure that is provided by Bootstrap. And if you click on the links that I'll provide, you can do it step by step. What I'll do is copy this basic structure, this basic code, and I'm gonna put it inside my HTML file. And if we go back to the file and preview it on the browser, you will see that right now, okay, we have our Hello World file. If we take a closer look at the file, you will see that by default, Bootstrap provides a local path to the Bootstrap resources, namely the Bootstrap CSS file as well as the JS file. But for the purpose of this demo, I will not be copying any local files. What I'll be doing is showing you how to use the CDN option of using the files. The CDN option requires you to have an internet connection, because the files will be pushed from the CDN website, but it's a guarantee that the files are always updated on one side. So to get the CDN version of the files, you can go to this link, and it's very simple. You can also copy and paste. So let's just copy and paste this CDN section into the file. And what I'll do is I'll replace this part where we call the Bootstrap CSS file, and I'll paste what we got from the CDN. Basically, we're grabbing the Bootstrap CSS file. This one, we don't need it because typically it's, and as it says here, it's optional if we want to use other elements from the Bootstrap theme, so this one is not necessary. And here we have the JS file. One important thing regarding the JS file is that the JS file must be located after the jQuery min.js file is called. So as you can see, when it's a local file, you see that it's after the jQuery. What I'll do is I'll cut this area here, and I'll just paste it where we have the local call for the file. So this way, and if we go back to previewing our theme, everything looks almost the same, because right now what we're doing is we are already using Bootstrap styling to display this text. Okay, first thing that we want to do is adding a basic grid to this file. You also have the link here on the presentation. And if we go back to the Bootstrap website, you can see that Bootstrap provides you a default grid that you can work upon, and it's a 12-column grid that you can combine in different ways to create different sizes and combinations of columns. Since this grid is based on 12 columns, the classes that are applied to define each column, actually they say how many columns you are spanning when creating one content area. So basically, if I say that I want an 8 or a column D8, I'm saying that my area spans 8 columns of the grid. What I'll be doing right now is copying a default set of code to create the external structure. So let's just replace this hello world with this initial basic structure. Okay, and here right now what I have is I have a container, and I don't need a fluid container. Fluid means it's a percentage, so it would be like 100% of the screen. No, I want a fixed container, so I will have about 1,000 and something pixels using this container class. And now I have a row, and what I need is I need a column. And I need a column that actually spans the whole 12 columns of the grid. So I'll just copy one of these lines, and I'll just change this and say that my column, my area spans 12 columns. And if we go back to previewing our template, so right now there it is. And if you take a look, it's not close to the left side of the screen, because right now we have a content area here in the middle. And this is our basic file structure for creating something in Bootstrap. Okay, so right now this is my minimum default file structure for creating something in Bootstrap, and we will start adding content here from now on. And the first thing that we will do is adding the default carousel structure. And the default carousel code can be found on this link. And to start with the default carousel, this is also very, very simple. You just come to this section, and you can copy the entire code that is presented on this section. Go back to our file. Let me give it some spacing here. Oops. All right. Okay, and if I save and go back to my template and refresh, you will see that I already have something going on, right? So I have a basic carousel going on, but no content on it. I have prepared a demo images folder, so I have a few images ready to use on this demo. And what I will do, since I just added the default structure for the carousel, but I have to reference the images that I want to display. So if you take a look, you will see that I have items, and each item is one carousel slide. So right now I have 2 items, and I'll just replace the source of the images by one of. Right now, for demo purposes, I don't need the alt. And let us write down here some text. We will improve this later. Let us also change the second slide for a second image, some more text, and let's create a third slide with image 3. And if we save and go back to the website, you see that right now we have our very, very basic default carousel. And this is like the very basic you can get. And what I'll do to make this a little nicer is add some text on this area. So I'll just add an H2 with some text. So we actually build great products and teams to enhance your brand. This is great. I'll also add another line of text. So it's your brand or design. Okay, and I'll add a special class from Bootstrap that allows you to say that this is a lead paragraph. It will increase a little bit the size of the text. Let's just copy and paste this to every slide. Save and go back. Okay, so this is our default carousel slider, looking very nice with very nice text. Okay. And now let's go to the fun part. And the fun part is actually showing you 7 awesome different examples about how you can make use of the carousel components in ways that probably you haven't thought of, or if you have thought of how to use them that way, you didn't really know how to do it using just default Bootstrap code. And I'm going to try to show you how to. And the first example that I have today is how to use and how to create a Bootstrap carousel using and displaying large thumbnails on the bottom of the slide. And for this purpose, let's just go back to our file. And quickly, if you take a look, what we really want is after the carousel, what we need is like a row. We need to create a row with 6 columns in this case, because I want to display, or I will have a 6 images carousel, so I want to display 6 columns. It could be different. I could be displaying 4 or 3 or different ways of creating this, but in this case I want to show this this example showing 6 columns. So what I need after the carousel code ends up here, and what I need is to create a grid structure after this code. And going back to the Bootstrap website, let's go back to the grid section, because I want to copy some of the code to create the 6 columns. So let me just grab one of these lines here. Okay, this will do fine. And we can just paste it here. And since we want 6 columns, each column will span 2 columns of the grid. So I'll just change this to 2. And I will create the other 3. Right. Okay, this should do fine to start testing. Let's go back to our website. And right now we have the 6 columns already displaying below the slider. And what we really need is to place images on those 6 columns. So to start, I will just copy the code for the image. And let me make my life easier and probably do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just change the name of the images. Okay. And if we go back, you will see that, okay, I have the images displaying on the bottom, but they're not displaying all that well, right? And this is because I haven't said that I need the images to be responsive. So I need to add a class at each line that says that the image behaves responsive. And I'll add this to all the lines. And if we go back, here it is. So I have the small thumbnails of each of the images of the slider already being displayed. Okay, but this isn't, right now they're not doing anything, right? So if I click on the images, there is no moving or no linking to any of the slides. And this is what we have to do next. So basically, if you take a quick look at the generic carousel example, you will see that the carousel indicators, and these are these little circles on the bottom that actually link to each of the slides. These little indicators, they have some special code to target each of the slides, and this is exactly what we will copy. So we will copy this code to each, and what I'll do is add a link before each slide with the code that targets that particular slide. So, okay, let's just copy and paste. Okay, this one targets slide 0, slide 1, 2, and then let's just repeat because we only have 3 slides set. So let's just repeat this, and we just have to close the A tag. All right, let's save it and go back. And right now, if you take a look, we can already control the slide. Just for a matter of visual interface, if you want this cursor to actually change to a hand when it's hovering each of these small thumbnails, this is also very simple to do. It's just a matter of adding to the A tag an href, and basically this will create exactly what we want. So right now we have the nice thumbnails moving from slide to slide. But I don't like this spacing in between the columns, and this is default coming from the Bootstrap grid. So for the purpose of actually removing this spacing, we will add just a small piece of custom CSS code. To make this faster, I have the code here, so you will be able to copy after the session. And at the bottom of the file, after everything, I will just add a style tag. And what I have done is creating a class to which I've called no gutter. And if I apply this no gutter column to the top row, and if we save, okay, I also have to do it. Probably have to create a separate row. Okay, on this row. All right. Okay. Here's what we'll do. This one is on the wrong place. I see that I copied this code one level. Okay, for some reason I must be out one div. I'm not sure why. Let me see if removing this one. No. Okay. I don't want us to spend too much time on this, but it's just a matter of getting the final alignment of these two areas, and you have your nice carousel slider running with the large thumbnails on the bottom that allow you to navigate. Okay, and this takes us to our second example. And the second example is almost a variation of the previous one, but making usage of a different concept. And this second example displays a carousel with small thumbnails on the bottom. And let's go back to our folder, and let me just copy the code that we already have and create a second example. Okay, and let's open this for editing. All right, and basically we can remove this no gutter because we won't need it, and we can actually also remove all the code that we had just added. Okay, so get back to the simple carousel. This is also not necessary. Let me save, and let me open the second file. Okay, so starting from scratch with the default carousel, and what we will do to create these small thumbnails, we will make usage of the indicators. So these little circles on the bottom, we will use these elements, place images inside them, and create that nice visualization with the thumbnails. So basically, let's go back to the default code, and this is the default code for the carousel. Now let's copy one of the images, and we will place the images inside the carousel indicators, inside each of the indicator elements. And for this purpose, I have created a few thumbnail files, so I'll just use the thumbnail files that I've created. Okay, and I'll rename it to second and third. And I will probably also need these images to be responsive, so let me just quickly add the image responsive class, because I want them to display small and not huge on their original size. Okay, let's go back and see how it works. Right now the images are displaying, but they're very, very tiny because the CSS styling for the circles defines them to be really, really small. So we will need to make a small CSS adjustment to actually make it work. And basically what we can do is go back to the file. On the bottom of the file, let's just add a style section again. And we will have to create some styling for the carousel indicators and for each of the elements. So if you take a look, each of the elements inside the carousel indicators, we want each of these to have some different behavior. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the width of each of these elements to whatever we want. And for the purpose of this, I'll probably say that I want it to be 80 pixels. If we go back, you can see that it's already looking better. I'll say that, and if you take a look, there's a small border radius around this, right? So I want to remove this border radius because I want them to be square. And I want the height to behave automatically according to the width that I've just defined. I'm not going to inspect all this, but I know that there is a margin around each of those little elements that changes when we mouse over. So I want to make sure that this margin keeps the same for every element. So I'm gonna add a 1 pixel margin, and let's go back. And right now we're pretty much done, right? Apart from the fact that the text within the caption is overriding my slides. So what I have to do is actually push this carousel caption a little bit up. And for that, I'm going to add some small padding on the bottom of the caption. So what I'll do is, after this, I'll just say that the carousel caption needs to have padding bottom of, let's say, 70 pixels, and let's see if it works. All right, so there it is. So we have our nice carousel using pretty much everything coming from default Bootstrap. And if you take a close look, we just added a couple of lines of code to make it work with these nice small thumbnails on the bottom. And they're actually working. So I can click on the thumbnails and they're navigating through the different slides. And let's go to our third example. And our third example is all about creating a video gallery using the Bootstrap carousel. And for this, I'll just go back to my folder and I'll create a new file. My third example. Okay, let's open up the third example. we have to remove these images that we just added because we won't see them anymore. And let's also remove the styling on the bottom because we also don't need it. So everything apart from that is default, right? So we're back to where we started. Let's save and see if everything is displaying as default. Okay, we're ready to start. So basically the whole idea about this video gallery is that instead of images, what we want to display are videos. And if we go back to the structure of the slider, what we want to do obviously is remove all the captions where we currently have the text. And let's start by removing all the captions. If I save, you will see that right now I only have like a very default carousel only with images. And now we will replace these images by the videos. But we don't want any video. We want the video to be responsive. So basically, I want this to happen even when I have a video. And for this purpose, Bootstrap always gives us some very, very useful code. And let's click on the first link. And basically, there is a section within Bootstrap that teaches us how to use a responsive embed for video. And I'll do exactly that. I'll just copy this little piece of code, okay, and go back to the file. And instead of these images, I'll just add the code for the responsive embed. Basically, I need to change the source of the video that I'll be presenting, and I also have a couple of videos ready. So let me just copy this code. One very important thing about the source for this iframe here is that when you go, for example, to YouTube, there is a specific link for embedding, and the link for embedding actually says embed. Make sure to copy this particular link and not any other link. Okay. So let us save and go back to our template and refresh. Okay, and here we have our first video, and it's behaving responsively exactly as we want it. And what I will do is I'll just copy that code and create all the 3 different videos. For the purpose of this demo, I can keep the same video in every slide, doesn't matter. But I want to show you some things that you have to take into account when making a video gallery. And if I refresh this, and let me start the video, you will see that if I start the video and if I don't do anything else, what will happen is that in a certain period of time, the video will slide to the next slide. And this is exactly what I don't want, right? So I don't want this to happen. So basically, for that not to happen, what we have to do is go back to the slide and say that we want, for example, we want the slide to pause every time that we hover. This can be done using default code from Bootstrap. I also have a link for that if you want to get there fast. So if you click on this second link, you will see that information is available. The usage that you can make of the carousel is available here. So what we want to do is say that we want the carousel to pause on hover. I will copy this sample code here, and let me go back to my file. And this time is not, I will not be adding a style, I'll be adding a script. Okay, so this is a text script. Okay. And we can just paste the code that we just copied. And instead of the interval, what we'll be saying is that we're using the pause and hover. Let's save, go back, and let's refresh. And if we start the video, let's take about 5 seconds because it's the time that they, oops, this shouldn't have happened. Let me go back to the code. I must have something wrong here. Okay, this should be it. Let me go back to the slide. Oh, because I wasn't hovering, of course. So if I keep my mouse hovering the video, it will not slide. Okay, so I didn't realize the mouse was up. So this is a way that you can use to control watching the video on the right spot. So if you want people to actually be able to watch the video and stay still without sliding, this is the way to do it. But we have another small issue. So right now, if you take a look, there is a control bar on the bottom of the video, and actually I cannot reach it. Every time I mouse over that area, it disappears. And this is because the indicators are over this video control area. So what I have to do is I have to remove the indicators. So if I just go to the code and I will comment the indicators. If I go back to the file and I'll refresh it, I can play the video, and you will see that now I have full control over the video. Okay. All right. Let us go to our fourth example. And the fourth example takes us to a very, very different approach. This is something that is oftenly seen in different websites. Typically on a home page, lower on a home page, you can see quotes from customers, from partners, and it's very usual to see slides of quotes. So a carousel style displaying different quotes. And this can very easily be done using the Bootstrap carousel. And for the purpose of this demo, let us copy one of the files that we already created. Let's create example number 4. And let's start editing. So what we will do is we will remove this extra code that we don't need, and this extra styling that we also don't need. So if let's go back here and open the, okay. So we're starting from scratch, right? So we will be starting from the default carousel again. And what we want is, we don't want any images, we don't want any default captions. We want to start pretty much everything from scratch, because we will have the quotes instead. So this is the place for the quote. This is what we'll use. Let me just copy this quickly to the other slides. Okay, and if we save and go back, right, this is exactly how we want to start. And we want to copy some sample code for creating quotes in Bootstrap. And for that, we have this first link available. So if you go to the link, you can actually come here and quickly copy some code. So let me copy this block quote with like a subtitle. So not the simple quote, I'll just copy the second one. I'll copy the code and paste it on the first slide. And I want a larger text, so I'll just use the lead class again. I want this to look like nice. And if we go back to previewing what we're doing, okay, we already have the quote in place. And besides the quote, we actually need an image, right? So we need an image above the quote because we want this personalized, and we want people to actually see the face of the partner or the customer that is providing the quote. And for that matter, we will just add, oops, not here, above the block quote, I'll add a paragraph with an image tag. And the source for this image tag will be in my images folder, and I have a few people images. Okay, and let's start by trying this like that. Okay, so I have a picture of the person that is making the quote, but this is not exactly what we want, right? So we want this picture to be nicely rounded, and Bootstrap already provides the styles to also do that. So if we go to the second link, oops, sorry, that is available, you will see that there are a few styles that are available for us to use when we want to shape images. We could either create rounded corners around the image, we could add this nice circle around the image, or create a thumbnail styled image. And what I'll do is I want the circle style, so I'll just copy this class and go back to my code, add it to the image, and you will see that if I save and go back to the demo, I already have my nicely circled photo. But everything is like pulled to the left, and I want everything to be center aligned. So let me just go back here, and what we can do is use one of Bootstrap's text alignment classes that aligns text to the center. And let's refresh. So when I align everything to the center, you see that everything is nicely placed on the page. I clearly need some space before this, so I'll just add some dummy, let me see here, I'll just add some dummy paragraph so that it's not stuck to the bottom of the page. All right, and one of the things that I noticed is that the default Bootstrap navigation elements to the left and to the right, since they have this shadow, it doesn't look all that good here. So I would prefer just keeping the indicators on the bottom. So for the purpose of this, I will remove the controls. I will just hide them. All right, let's go back. This is looking much, much nicer. But I still need to see the indicators, and I don't want them to be white. So we will need just a small piece of code to make this change. And let's add another style section. So what I want to say is that the carousel indicators, each element should have, let's say, a gray background, and I want its border color to also be gray. Okay, they're gray, but they're overriding my text, so I need some spacing below this section. And since I'm not using any captions, I will use this carousel inner class to create that spacing. So I will say that my carousel inner will have a padding on the bottom of about 50 pixels. So it's looking like really, really nice. And if we copy the code for the text within the slide, let's copy the block quote. Okay, let's add some different pictures to this. Save back again. And you will see that, okay, why is not, okay, I have to center align everything. Okay, let's center align each slide. Save again. Okay, and we have our nice sliding quotes that can be used anywhere within the website. All right, and we can go to our fifth example. So the fifth example is how to make usage of the carousel to create a photos portfolio. And for this photos portfolio, we will start by creating a 4-column grid and then placing the images inside. So let's create another file. And I'll probably copy from this one, the last that we did. Okay, let's edit. And basically, let me just go back to the screenshot that I had. Basically, what we want to have is a grid inside each carousel item. So each carousel item will have its own 4-column grid. So let's go back to Bootstrap's grid page, and let's copy the code for, we don't have a 4-column, let's copy for a 3-column, and with that we'll just adjust. Okay, let's remove this centering, and what we'll do is place that code here inside each item. And since I want 4 columns, each of them spans 3 columns in the grid. Oops. Okay, if I save and go back to my number 5, you will see that I have the 4 columns. And what I'll do is right now I'll place an image inside each of these columns. Okay. And I'll say that each of these images will behave responsively to nicely fit the column. Okay, and let's just copy and paste this to each of the columns. Okay, let's change to different images so that it looks nice. Okay, and we have the set of images, but they look very plain, right? So there's nothing nice around each of these images. They're very squared, and this is not exactly how I want them to look. So Bootstrap provides, as I've shown previously, ways for us to format images, and we'll make advantage of one of those classes, which is this one that provides us this nice thumbnail look. So it's a class called image thumbnail, and we'll just copy this class, go back to the code, and paste it here. Placed it for every element, and you'll be able to see that if we go back to the preview. Okay, so now my images are looking very, very nice because I have these nice rounded corners, very light boxes around each of the images. So they're looking very nice, as if it was an image gallery. I need a little extra spacing because I have my indicators very close to the thumbnail, so I'll just add some extra spacing here on the bottom. Just refresh this. Okay, so now it looks very nice. I'll also copy this to the other slides so that I don't have quotes mixing with the rest of the gallery. So if we go back and slide, so this is displaying nicely. But we have to have some concerns when creating responsive styles. And if you take a closer look and I start resizing my browser, what happens is that in tablet size, I still have the 4 columns. And when I start getting to mobile sizes, my images are displaying 1 per row, and they're all stuck on top of each other. And this is not exactly a nice display for navigating in this gallery, because the navigation is on the bottom. So I don't want them to really display like this. I would like them to display nicely in 2 columns when I'm in mobile, and eventually also in 2 columns when I'm on tablet view. And that's exactly what I'll do next. So basically, what we're saying here when we say that this column spans 3 grid columns, this is for medium screen sizes, and we have the possibility to define also the behavior of these columns for other screen sizes. And I want to define for small screen sizes, which is tablet, and for tablet I want each column to span 6 grid columns. And I can also say that for extra small screens, which is for mobile, I also want to have 2 images per row, and I'll add these classes to each of the rows that I have. So I don't need to do this for all, but we can preview it right now, and you will see that if we do it like this, when we get to smaller screens, now we have this nice preview with the images. Okay, this is the last one, with the images being displayed right next to each other. But they're still a little bit stacked on top. And to create that extra spacing, what I'll do is I'll add a wrapping paragraph around each of them, so that I have a nice spacing around each of the images. And let me just make this faster. Okay, and so let us just preview the first slide. And for the first slide, you will see that right now the image gallery is displaying nicely. Okay, and let's move on to the 6th example. And the 6th example is how to create a news rotator. So we're starting to get more complex examples on this. To create this news rotator, I will maintain this grid structure that I have currently, so with the 4 columns, the grid with the 4 columns. And inside each of the columns, instead of having 1 single image as we have right now, we're going to make use of another Bootstrap feature that is related to image thumbnails, and that allows us to create more complex structures around image thumbnails. And this is the structure that we will be using to create this example. Basically, it allows us to combine image, title, text, and buttons. So I'll copy I'll actually only copy the thumbnail code, because this is exactly what I need. And let's go back to our file. Let me just remove, oh no, I'll keep it. Okay, so we want the grid to maintain. The only thing that we don't want is the thumbnail that we were using previously. So we want to just copy the new code here inside the new thumbnail structure. And basically, let's just change the path to the image. Okay, we don't need this. Okay, we can keep it this way. Let's just copy some lorem ipsum text. I have a few here. Okay. All right, and I'll probably just keep one of the buttons because 2 is a little bit too much. And let's save and go back. Oh, and I think I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to save as a separate file, so let's just preview on file number 5. Okay, so we have a basic structure that allows us to create like a news style box where we have the image for the news, a title, some text, and a button. This title looks a little bit too much for me for a news element. So what I'll do is I'll reduce this to an H4 instead of the default H3. And I also want the button to be smaller. So what I'll do is add a class that allows me to create a small button. I could also create an extra small, but I'll create a small button instead. And this could be something like read more. Something like this that would allow me to read more regarding this news. And I'll just copy this exact same structure for the other elements. All right, so I should have 4 columns by now. Okay, and if we were to create the same structure for the remaining slides, we would have a nice rotating news slider for this area. You will see that when we start reducing the size, let's go back to the first. When we start reducing, it is still readable, okay? And we could have further control on how it displays on extra small screens if necessary. So basically, we have our news rotator ready. And let's move on to our final example. And the final example, the purpose of this example is to create a small box of featured products. And imagine that, or featured something. Imagine that on your website you have like a left column or a right column where you have some further information and some boxes with different details, and you want to create one that is always rotating and displaying different products. And this is exactly what we are going to do right now. So let's go back to the code and let us just delete all this that we have inside this item because we don't need it. And let's also delete this one and this one. Okay, so right now we have the empty areas for each of the slides. And what we will do is we will still use the thumbnail component, but not this one. So let's use the basic thumbnail component for the images. And I think I'll go to the media section. Okay, I'll just write it down the code. So basically what we want to have is an image, the product. For this purpose, I have some product images. I want my image obviously to be responsive. And I want my image to be placed around a thumbnail wrapper, as the ones that we've seen previously. Okay, then I want to have, and let's just save and see how it looks. Okay, guys, we had a small glitch, but I think we're back on. I've just added my image to the structure. What I want to do next is add a small title below, so the name of the product, and that's what I'll do. So I'll just add an H4. Let's say it's my Camera Pro. And I want this to be a link because this will actually link to the details page. And below this line, I want to have a small title. And you can make usage of this small titles inside the main headings, and you will see what they do. And let's just copy some more in Ipsum. Okay. If I save and go back to the sample, you will see that what these small titles do is they create a lighter gray text and smaller than the main title, and to create like this very nice block of text. And below this heading with the small subtitle, I want to have another H4 with the pricing, for example, let's say 199, and I'll also add a button, and this will be a link with a button class. And Bootstrap allows you to have several types of buttons. I'll have a primary button. We'll have another session that will have a more detailed approach to buttons and button styles. And I will have an extra small button. So I want this to be very, very small. And this will be like a view details link. Let's go back. Okay, and I have my structure ready for the product. Basically what I want is that this area, I don't want it to be all this large, so I want a very small column. So I would pretend that I would put it inside a smaller column, something like this. And let's just create the content for the other slides. So if I copy this and to all the remaining slides, change the product image, back. So basically, I would have my nice scrolling product or featured product area. I could even do something cool, which is for products that are on sale, I could add some extra information. And for that, we have a very useful component. There are the labels. So I would use this success label eventually. So I can copy here the label, and I'm going to put it, let's say, inside our second product, and I'll put it inside the main title. Sorry. I copied too much code, so just this. And I'll say that this one is on sale. So if we go back to our example and refresh and go to the second, we see that right now we have this indicator saying that this product is on sale. So there is a lot that you can do. The carousel component is so flexible. It can be used in so many ways. I'm sure that we could even use it in different scenarios. I think that we have covered most of the most common scenarios. Typically, people need to make usage of carousel navigation. If you have questions, just please feel free to send us the questions by email, by our Twitter feed, through Google+. If you need some further resources, remember that we have our webinars published at bindtuning.com/webinars, and we have technical resources, technical articles in our forums knowledge base and in our academy.bindtuning.com. Thank you for being with us today, and I look forward to being with you in our next webinar. Thanks, guys.